Hello, I'm Stacy, and I'm really excited to be your meditation and mindfulness coach for this Reset Challenge. And I know that this week you're working on a couple of things, goals in particular, and making a commitment to get in 150 minutes of movement, which is a wonderful thing. And I think we all know that just changing our habits in the smallest ways, particularly when it comes to moving our bodies, that we're gonna feel better. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why I think mindfulness and meditation are really important, especially when you're trying to make changes to your life. So a little bit about me. 20 years ago, short story, 20 years ago, I found myself profoundly stuck and profoundly soul sick because I had just let a lot of habits that were unhealthy build up over time until those habits really controlled me versus me being in control of them. So I made a big change 20 years ago. For me, that meant I quit drinking and started into programs of movement and eventually mindfulness and meditation. And that's really what my life is comprised of today. So what I've learned in all of my experience as well as my teachings is that our body is always holding on to postures of either stress or anxiety or joy and forward motion and service. So mindfulness and meditation allow us to go in, rebalance our nervous system, become aware of some of the patterns within us that might be a little stuck, and find ways to move into each day feeling like we're making choices that are good for us in the moment and that are also good for us in our future. When that happens, we're our best self in relationship, and we're our best self for our broader community. So that's why I do it. So I'm going to take us through a short meditation practice. It'll probably be about 3, 4, 5 minutes, and you'll just follow along with what I am inviting you to consider. So a couple of things before we start. No matter what you do, no matter what your brain is thinking of during these next meditation moments, you're doing it absolutely perfectly. It really is about the practice and beginning to notice what your mind is thinking about, what your feelings are, what the sensations are, what your breath is doing. So you cannot do it wrong. So let's get started. So you may notice that I'm sitting in a chair. So one of the things that's really important for me to share with you is that you don't have to be sitting cross-legged with your back maybe uncomfortable, especially when you're starting. Go for comfort. So you can do it sitting on the floor, but I'm going to just show you sitting in the chair. So you could even do this in your car if you wanted. And we're going to do a quick little warm-up of the body. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your feet firmly on the ground. If you're sitting cross-legged, that's okay. You're going to take your hands and place them on your knees. And I'm going to actually turn sideways now, so you might be able to see it a little bit more. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting my spine, hands on my knees, and I'm going to pull in my abdominal muscles, and I'm going to make a C curve of my spine. Chin to chest, exhaling here. And I'm pulling in my abdominal muscles to stretch out my spine. It should feel really good. You're going to pull yourself up, find your long spine, and then you're going to inhale, smile at the ceiling, Open across the shoulder blades. Exhale, round forward. Inhale, lift and look. And then we'll come back to this long spine. So those are 2 movements of the spine, and there's 6 movements total. The spinal column can basically be a wonderful channel for information from the brain to the body and the body to the brain, but we don't want it to be all stuck, like almost like a kink in the fire hose. So we're opening up the channel. So we did our 2 movements of the spine. Now we're going to do 4 more, starting with our side. You're going to place one hand down beside you. You could either put it on the table or the chair. The other arm's going to reach up. And I'm going to lean over. And rather than falling way over, I'm pressing this hand down. And I'm working to create opening in that rib cage. And I'm going to inhale, and I'm going to feel that rib cage expand. And then we're going to come down. We're going to go the opposite way. One arm up, over, inhale into the side body. Sometimes we kind of want to dip our arm. Feel what happens when you really use your energy to reach, and come down. And you may notice that you can actually feel that rib cage right now. So what happens when we're stressed is the rib cage compresses, and then our lungs don't have as much room to move, and we just don't feel as well. So just by doing these movements, we're liberating the spine. 2 more movements. Right hand against the left knee. Lift the spine. Exhale, look behind you. You can look up. You can look down. And coming back around. Inhale. Opposite hand, opposite leg, to give yourself a little bit of purchase and help the twist. And you're going to exhale, look behind you, you're going to look up, you're going to look down, and you're going to come back around. It's almost like an athlete does a warm-up before they work out, or a musician gets their instrument tuned. We're just tuning our body to go inward. So are you ready? We're going to go ahead and again, you're going to focus on the feeling of your feet on the floor. I'm going to repeat this kind of meditation in other weeks that we meet, but I want to talk a little longer this first time so you know the why. When we have stress, and our world has been very stressful this year, a pandemic is no joke, what happens is we get a lot of energy moving right here to the center of the body and a lot of constriction. And that means the energy is pulling away from our limbs. So by feeling the feet on the floor, noticing the sensation of just your body in this moment in space is helping ground you and anchor you into this moment. So then our thoughts aren't going to be flying around quite as quickly. So feet on floor, hands. You can just put your hands softly in your lap. And you can see, do I like it palms down? Do I like it palms up? Would I like to cross my hands in my lap? Pick a posture and try it. You're going to lift your spine. So if you have back challenges, I would suggest scooching back so you have the support of the chair behind you. You don't want to feel agony in your body while you start to do this resting practice. And you're going to feel your spine lift, but think of it not as kind of the most intense sort of lifting you can do, but rather almost like a flower yearning for the sun. There's a rising. And you can soften your eyes. So you might just pick a spot on the floor and softly focus, or you can close your eyes. And I'm gonna probably have my eyes closed while I talk through the next bit. It helps me stay internal. So, feet on floor, hands on lap, spine long, soft hands, soft eyes. Noticing our breath, noticing your breath. Become aware that you are breathing. And so rather than trying to turn off our thoughts, we're going to use our mind to focus on a few things. The first thing you might wish to do is to notice any sounds you hear around you and label those sounds, meaning that right now I'm in the awesome YMCA downtown, and I notice I can hear a car outside, so I'm just labeling, I'm hearing a car. I'm hearing a fan. So rather than combat distraction, consider it a symphony of sounds. The next sense we're going to study is the touch, the skinscape. So notice any sensation you have on the exterior of your body. Maybe you notice where you feel your clothing against your skin versus if you have a bare arm like I do. You might even imagine that there's maybe an inch sort of air hug around you, and you feel that you're getting a hug from all sides to just have a mental and sensory idea of your perimeter. If you have a breath practice, like maybe something you do in yoga or Pilates, those are awesome, but for this moment, see if you can just drop into whatever is the natural breath in this moment. And for a little longer, we're going to study our breath. Notice where the air comes in and out. If you can breathe through your nose, that's fantastic. If you can't, no big deal. But feel the air coming in and the air coming out. You can begin to track down the body a bit and perhaps notice that when you inhale, you're going to feel some expansion in the body, some movement. As our body, our lungs fill with breath, our body needs to move to accommodate that breath. And in your noticing practice, just be super gentle with yourself. If you find yourself starting to think like, I'm thinking about other things, or I'm feeling hungry, or I'm not following, all you do is notice those thoughts. And remember to be super compassionate to yourself, as though you were talking to your own inner child, and just say, you're doing an awesome job, perfect job. So we're noticing our breath moving in our body. You can notice the location of the breath. You can notice the tempo of the breath. Are the inhales the same length as the exhale? And maybe even the quality of the breath. So sometimes I'll feel a little more almost like staccato, like interrupted inhale and more flowing exhale. No judgment, just noticing. Our last noticing will come after an invitation that I'm going to share with you. Wherever you are encountering your breath in your body, see if you can drop it lower. If you're finding it in the chest, see if you can drop it to the upper belly. If it's in the upper belly, drop to the lower belly. And see if it's more of a surrender into that drop than a demand of the body. Yield to your own breath. Your sacred, sacred breath. And see if for the next 3 breaths you can 100% stay connected to just noticing breath. Those lovely chime sounds is our signal that we're going to slowly transition from our interior noticing to connecting back to the outside world. So I like to rub my palms together. And I put my fingertips on my forehead, the base of the palm kind of under the mouth. And I like to feel my own breath. And if you give yourself a little tapping of the face or massaging, if that feels good to you, to come back into the moment and make any sort of stretches or moves that feel good to you. Perhaps looking around your space as though seeing it for the first time. So, no matter what you experienced in those last few minutes truly was perfect. Because what we're going to do is we're going to practice together and we're going to just keep noticing and deepening what happens when we allow our bodies to reset and what we discover about the nature of our mind and what we discover about our sense of safety and ease within ourselves. But here's a tip. If you noticed your breath dropping lower in the body, lower, slower, more even, what that means is your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, is balancing. And that's where we find resilience, empathy, commitment, connection, is when we're in that balanced place. And breath focusing, breath noticing, is one of the fastest way to basically change how we feel in our capacity in any moment. So my challenge to you is to do this practice 5 minutes a day. Sit in a chair, find your breath, listen to the instructions or don't. And I know what's going to happen. It's going to feel like you've invented time and ease for yourself. And then all of those 150 minutes of movement and all the other goals you're going to set will be done with ease and flow. And then we'll practice more things the next time we gather. So I'm super excited to see you again, both in the videos as well as some online Facebook Live meditations on Sunday afternoon. And then my wonderful colleague, Coach Kara, is going to coach you through some mindfulness restoration on Wednesday evenings on Facebook Live. See you soon.